What's up, guys? Welcome back to coverage of the Hong Kong Battle Hardened 2025. We are in the top 8 at the moment, and we've got a great game for you guys today. On the left is Alan Lau piloting Aurora, Shooting Star. On the other side is Manho piloting Ira, Scarlet Revenger. Both of these guys, no stranger to top 8s in the Hong Kong scene. Now, Alan has traveled the world, shown the world his skill. Manho, though, is on the younger side. I think when I was playing in Hong Kong, I think it was still in secondary school. So a little bit younger guy, hasn't been traveling too much out of the country, but is still extremely good at the game. So let's see how this goes. This is Ira versus Aurora. Nathan, again, I'm gonna have to default to you. Tell me a little bit about this matchup.
I think that currently in the game of Flesh and Blood, this is probably one of my favorite matchups in the game.
Aha. Okay.
And
tell me why.
It's because it tests the Aurora player's deck building.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ira is gonna lean on dragging the game out long and using those windows of opportunity of which Aurora will brick and kind of leverage that into value. Now, there's a couple of ways that the Aurora player can kind of counter that. And if we compare it to some of the games we saw earlier in the Battle Hardened that Aurora played, the one thing we're going to notice in this matchup is we're going to be probably making a lot more embodiment of lightning.
Mm-hmm.
And that is to prevent those windows from happening, because that is how the Aurora player just gets behind. Second is, how impactful are those D-reacts going to be? And not only that, but that's all you got on Starfall is nothing to scoff at. The ability to just block 2 damage and maybe even stop an on-hit if there's a burn-up shock. And there's a lot of people that just side out burn-up shock in this matchup, and it's kind of valid because there's so many D-reacts going on. Mm-hmm. And the Ira players can even run cards like Wax On, Wax Off, and just get 5 block value off of a 1 card. And it's just insane value. And see this here, there's the CLV coming out with the surprise factor, and guess what? No card draw.
Exactly. Yep.
And Alan's also given up the position of one of his other ones. Now he knows that it's on the bottom of the deck, so there's only one more. So now he can start being a little bit greedier with the D-reacts once this one's gone.
Yep. He also blocked with 2 snatches, or played 2.
Yep.
So there's the game actually changes quite a bit when you know that the final attack coming in from Aurora is just more damage. So we'll see how Manho wants to change things. Gonna play out the whole hand, Mauling Key, gonna deal some damage, and back over to Alan. Nathan, I think this is another prime example of the zones are just suggestions. So also, this is the this is not how Pudding does his Kodachis. He puts Kodachi Hero. Manho favoring Hero Kodachi. Interesting. All right, Arc Lightning gonna open up the turn. Looks like we've got an E-Strike, a Sink Below, and I believe that might be another CLV. Ooh. Gonna sink Below with the E-Strike. Gonna draw a card. Interesting. Oh, right, he has Go again for the Arc Lightning. Nice.
And I really like Aurora's ability to put the pressure on Ira's blues. Because if you present the arcane damage while CLV is out, they have to pitch for it, right?
Yep.
And if Ira can't Kodachi CNC you, that's a win, right? And just like in this case, right? They have 1 blue and they had to use it, which buys you another bit of time, which is kind of all you need. I don't think there's any situation where if the Aurora player can stay at a high life total. I don't think fatigue is actually how this game ends, unless the Aurora fatigues the Ira, believe it or not. Because there's just a lot of damage in an Aurora deck, believe it or not. When every card attacks for 4 or 5, it kind of adds up.
And gonna get a card draw off the CLV. And it will continue, as the Japanese translation for go again is. And gonna pitch the CLV, maybe make a rune chant, or okay, gonna swing with the Starfall. This has go again because he has played a lightning card this turn. And this is vanilla damage. If you're not blocking the Scar that's threatening a card draw, I don't think you're blocking the Starfall. Gonna set up. Oh, okay. So there were several choices. That was, you arsenal that, you make a rune chant, or you make a embodiment. This rune chant did get an extra ping though, so from the arc lightning. Interesting that there were several choices there.
We are going to see a little bit of urgency here from Alan, because if you think about the pitch stack, there's 2 CLVs and an electrostatic discharge on the bottom of the deck, which are 3 instances that don't attack.
Yep.
So it is, you don't really want to make your way down there unless you. I don't think there's a way that Aurora shuffles that I can possibly think of, unless somebody's got something super spicy.
Hope Merchant's Hood this time. We are seeing Crown of Providence instead of Balance of Justice. We know that Alan's list does have both of those.
Yep.
Crown of Providence, I guess this is mainly just CNC protection, right? And Ira's not drawing 2 cards. So,
or if you like really brick, then that's the case.
So, yep. Can always extract some value, assuming the opponent hits you with a Kadachi. All right, the rune chant has connected. Gonna give a card draw. And gonna start blocking. Crane Dance. A real old school card. Crane Dance into Heron's Flight. Oh man, if you remember that combo, you are an OG.
One of my favorite cards in Aurora is Entwine Lightning. It's not a lightning card, but man, it just works. I was always a fan of putting 3 in the Briar deck. A lot of people didn't like it because it wasn't consistent enough, but it just always has go again. Just 4 go again.
Turns out when you drop one of your essences, your deck is more consistent.
Who knew?
Yeah. A lot of the playstyle, though, of Aurora does remind you a lot of Briar, right, Nathan?
A part of Briar. Okay. My favorite part about Briar was being able to kind of lean back in spots and block, which obviously Aurora can't really do. But managing your go again, and the part that is very similar is just managing that risk. Holding back the attacks to make sure you don't brick, whereas this one is you're just doing the same thing, but you always have attacks, but you're just managing go again. It's definitely a balancing act.
Well, we are several turns into this game, and Ira's already at 20, so I think Alan's been doing a pretty good job so far. Now, the fact that the Ira player took a good chunk of damage, I think kind of suggests this disruption coming. Yep. Amnesia coming in for 7. So lightning cards are no longer lightning cards. Is that the relevant thing?
No, that would be erase phase.
Oh, sorry,
so this one is they forget their names.
Right.
Which I don't think affects Aurora in any way. I know it gets Viscerai. Rune Chant loses its name. So cards like Ninth Blade and Amplify that are discounted based on how many rune chants you have don't work.
Right.
You don't get the discount because rune chant lost its name.
Mm-hmm.
But Aurora, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that really affects it.
That could have just been, hey, this is a 2-card 8. We'll take it.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Yeah, it's like I could get 6 value on blocks or I could get 8 value on offense. Let's do good math, fab math. All right. Speaking of good fab math, this card here is pretty good fab math.
Insane. Imagine if Endless Arrow did not have to hit.
Oh, looks
and
like
that's
he did
gone in a flash.
Yeah, gone in a flash. Looks like he did not have an instant though.
Well, you have to do it in the resolution step, so it has to hit, and then now you play it.
Ah, right.
Just like
Get
this.
It go again.
Or else your go again will fizzle, and it'll be a bad day. So,
right. My bad. Okay, so gonna pitch a blue. Go Starfall.
Mm-hmm. And then here's the beautiful thing. If he has another instance, he can make an embodiment, play Gone in a Flash, play an instant, get it back, and play it again.
It's pretty good.
Once again, does not have to hit. I mean, it's just... I think if Gone in a Flash did not exist, you would probably cut half the instance in Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
I think that card is that impactful in regards to instance.
Second strike. Gonna be 4 go again. Because he has dealt damage this turn. Got a sink below, find center. No on hit, so the sink below could eventually find its way into the arsenal.
Ooh,
somersault. Gonna
beautiful.
Give it back. Gonna play it out again. Gone in a flash at home. All right, sink below into Gone in a Flash. And
here it is.
Here we go. 3 cards.
Alan knows he had a big turn and he's got the tempo, so he makes he could get an extra damage in, right? Off the grass, which a lot of people would think is a high priority. But when he's gotten the cards, I think getting the embodiment is the better play.
Yep. Now, I kind of would have preferred Manho to have blocked with this Winds of Eternity and then Arsenal the sink below instead of just sending back these Kadachis.
Right.
I feel like having a D-React in Arsenal as Ira is kind of a priority because that allows you to meet their burst of offense with your burst of defense. All right, Entwine Lightning, not going to have to reveal anything because he's got an embodiment of lightning.
Now, this is very telling because if you are leading with that card, then it basically tells you it's your only attack, or there's another attack that's very conditional based on it.
Yep.
Right?
Like
because
second strike or something.
You know you have a lightning card, and he actively chose to throw it instead. So,
yep.
A lot of information there.
This is a bad sign when you're blocking Starfall in general. Alan gonna take this turn to chip a little bit, set up, and we'll see if the Ira can present anything relevant. And this has kind of been the story of this game, is that Ira has not been able to throw any disruption at the Aurora. And that Crown of Providence basically negating all the CNCs that come in for 7.
I don't think we've seen a Weakest Link. I don't think we've seen a CNC.
No. But we have Tunic up, so this could be... He still has 1 floating, not representing it right now, but he... Ooh. Okay, that means he does not like his arsenal. Just going to get it out of there. And Mauling Key, just vanilla damage at the end of this. 1, 2, 5 is good math. Sigil Suffering. Going to be met with the Tunic pitch into the Tide Flippers. And Alan has a 4-card hand, Tunic ready, Embodiment set up. Gonna start things off with a 4-power attack. Gonna be met with a Flick Flack. It's pretty good. However, when your opponent attacks you with Starfall next, you can't quite defend yet. There's a second strike. Gonna be met with a combo card that's gonna be blocking for extra. Gonna gain some health to Sigil and Arsenal and set up for another turn. Back to Manho. Got you for 1. Crown of Providence is gone. So if that is a CNC in hand, this would be excellent. Alan going to be very happy if there's if there's a second Kadachi push, but there's not. Bittering Thorns, pretty annoying. Gives +1 to the next attack. So this is 1/5/2. So another 2-card 8. Kind of build it at home though. And there's a Sigil. Manho obviously at 3, prioritizing A being 1 instead of Kadaching. All right. Good old Rabble going to reveal a Sink Blow. And I think it's, getting close to using... it's going to be an armor utilization turn. So there's a CNC. So I kind of like possibly blocking with the armor this turn. Just see if we can keep the CNC and throw it at him. There's an Easter egg.
Well, when you know they're going to draw a Sink Blow, that's about as good of a time as ever.
Yep. Looks like he just wants to block. Okay. And I mean, he could have kept 2 cards by blocking with his armor. Now he's going to have to give him... Well, yeah. Going to have to give him another card there. And I think it's just going to be Arsenal Pass. Now he knows the next turn has potential to be weak. Potential to brick a little bit because we saw he is running Sigil of Suffering, and I think he drew it. So this could be a little bit of a weaker turn from Alan. I'm not going to have an E-Strike in hand to smooth out the play. Looks like Tunic's going to go to 2. Quick check of the graveyard. Both our players have been playing pretty fast, but I don't think we're very close to the pitch stack. Nathan, you mentioned earlier that there's a horrendous pitch stack for Alan.
Yeah, we're definitely wanting to end the game before we get there. That's for sure.
Yep, looks like we fast forwarded a little bit. There was like a little choppy break there, but that's okay. Rabble got blocked. Exude Confidence. Gonna require another block. And the funny thing is, Alan can't even pitch into it. And Manho calls his bluff. Yeah, okay. All right, Alan's arsenaled a card, and this is going to... The Sigil of Suffering is going to strip the resource for the finisher. Although it's just a combo card tacked onto the end. In fact,
I think Alan's actually going to sink here because he bricked. He drew 3 attacks, none of which had go again. So he has to do it here to guarantee the ability to actually do it.
Yep.
Even though it is super inefficient, he has to just guarantee.
Very heads-up play from our Ira to leave a resource open. Drawing a card as the mode. Maybe trying to draw into a D-React. And does Alan take 5?
We're definitely playing the Arsenal because it's a sigil.
Are we?
I mean, I wouldn't want to hang on to it.
Hmm.
It seems like a way to break even more kind of situation.
Okay. Alan over blocking. Manho, obviously. A being because he doesn't want to lose the game. And Alan just going to send 4. That's his turn.
Yep. Had no access to any go again, so
Now,
he is set up for next turn.
Hand. Yeah.
So next turn is where Alan could close the game out, assuming he draws adequate threats.
Yep. I think Manho was thinking just ever so slightly about Lightning Press, but then realizes you don't play around it, especially with the direct in hand. Such a clean answer when you're at 1. And for the first time in many turns, he's going to get to attack Alan with a 4-card hand. And I would say we're getting close to the pitch deck.
And he does have E-Strike.
Yeah, great extender, as you like to call them. Is that going to be the opening?
Does he have a blue?
Yeah, he may not.
If it's E-Strike for 7, he does not.
He doesn't.
I'm just going to take this and close the game.
Oh, boy. Was there some merit to playing Weakest Link instead of E-Strike?
I would, if all I was going to do is E-Strike 7, yes, I would play the Weakest Link to try and get the card.
Yep, because if we see Alan reveal a no block this turn, that decision there could come back to bite him. Gonna block for 4.
I can guarantee that he has a no block in him.
Yep. Oh, he does. Yeah, he has the Lightning Press. Yeah. So the decision to throw the E-Strike instead of pitch the Mauling Key and the E-Strike to play the Weakest Link, very baffling decision.
And if he doesn't have a no block, you get to look at the hand.
Yeah. And figure out how to block, especially if you have D-React, then you know, okay, there's a break point that I have to cover up with the sink below. Yeah. Okay. Well, still overall pretty good game. Alan playing pretty quick. We saw a lot of classic Aurora stuff, and Ira felt like the hands didn't quite line up quite right. Alan obviously applying a ton of pressure as well. So yeah, pretty good game overall. Any thoughts?
Just Ira really was missing those CNCs, Weakest Links, and I don't know if they were on a race face. I didn't see any, but that's also a very good card to kind of shore up that matchup a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if they would have saw some disruption, it would have went a little bit different. But
yep. Well, Nathan, speaking about disruption and Ira, well, we'll see you guys for the semifinals. Welcome back, everybody, to the semifinals of the Hong Kong Battle Hardened 2025. On our left, we have Shing Tsang. This guy, prolific player, top 8'd 3 or 4 top tier 4 events, an absolute legend of the game, piloting his favorite hero, New. Or maybe not his favorite hero, his second favorite hero. I think he likes Viscera a lot. On the other side, we have Alex Lowe piloting Ira Scarlet Revenger. Well, Nathan, this is actually a kind of dynamic matchup because on one side, both heroes are quite defensive, but there's some inevitability about Ira. The Kodachis, I don't think New really wants to be blocking them, but I don't know. I just feel like this matchup could go very, very long, but there could be different stages of the game depending on the power cards, the armor situation. and just the deck builds as well. So I think we're in for a treat for this matchup.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting because I think New can play it two different ways, where you kind of go the fatigue angle, where you just try to like, because there's a lot of blues, right? So usually your new activation will actually banish a card off top, and you can mask. But the
Mhm.
Kodachis do make that a little bit difficult because that chip damage is going to add up. So I think that the new player just has to play as good as they can around the astronomical amount of D reacts that Ira probably has. And
Not in this hand.
yeah, well,
Yeah. Siren's Call, though, does have several targets: Rising Knee Kick or Warmongers. Rising Knee Kick is playable, so why not? Although this isn't going to be banished, but you know. All right, so New going to get a draw. Beckoning Mistblade does have go again, obviously. So what is going to be the follow-up? Looks like going to be a Scale Peeler. Now, this is kind of an indication that the hand is kind of weak because I don't think Scale Peeler is particularly relevant against Ira. And we got a Bonds of Agony. Going to be met with Flick Flack. And Arsenal Pass from Shing. Those Pouncing Paws are ready now. Do you like blocking the Mistblade with the Pouncing Paws, or do you think he should have held it for like a Leave No Witnesses, or you know?
I think it's perfectly fine because anytime you can use a one block equipment on a Mistblade when the new has a full hand, I think it's worth it. Just because it reduces their options. It just turns out that he had the Siren's Call, which is like the perfect counter.
And the levels of enlightenment right after Beckoning Mistblade hits is that's always a real big feels bad. So yeah, I think that block is totally fine. So this turn I think is going to be quite telling about Shing's plan. If he's blocking Kodachis, I presume he's not going to block the first Kodachi, but if he blocks the second Kodachi, that's going to be quite telling. That looking for scrap should have a target in the graveyard. He played a Bonds. He has a Just a Nick and a Transcend card, but I don't think he has a... Oh, he has a Surgical as well. Okay. So he does have the ability to Transcend, but he would have to pitch the Just a Nick and the... Yeah, okay. So it's double Spinning Wheel Kick. Tons of damage. Shing's cards getting ever so closer to his opponent's playmat. It's going to be a double block. This is one of those bricky new hands that she'll draw once in a while. Let's see how Shing wants to pilot.
Decent amount of damage coming from Ira, though.
Yes, so I think Shing is just considering the whole game right now, because I don't know if you could take like a giant chunk of damage like this and then like Spinning Wheel Kick into Spinning Wheel Kick is actually even more damage, right? So just gonna throw a Bonds of Attraction and gonna Transcend. Okay, so that's a reasonable hand, and then he could Arsenal the Looking for Scrap, unless he blocked with it, but I don't think he did. Or it's either Just a Nick or Looking for Scrap that's going to go into Arsenal. Ever growing tension now. both of these players are on their 9th round of Classic Constructed for the day. Possibly a little bit of a mental fatigue as well. We saw the phone keep going off. It's like almost 8 p.m. in Hong Kong. This event started with 96 players, and now only 4 remain.
Does that mean 96 was the cap?
Yep, 96 was the cap. Hong Kong events typically have a hard cap because they don't have unlimited event space. The Battle Hardened in Atlanta could have had 200 people. We would have been fine. But not the case in Hong Kong. Bonds into just a nick. Pushes this up to 5. Or 6. Fate Foreseen. Got to consider this because just a nick is going to hit this. Bonds is going to hit the thing below it. Well, I guess he can order the triggers the other way, so that's even that's even more interesting.
Yep.
So gonna put it to the bottom. Does he have another D-React?
It would be clutch here. Oh.
All right, so
loses
Shing,
2 cards.
Yep. Erase face. Double erase face. Okay.
Oh.
All right. Well, no blues for new, but still a pretty good turn. All right, a good mix of cards there for Shing that he drew. Codex, a Transcend card, a blue. CNC for 7. Ooh.
I think it's very important to note that was a lot of threat density that just left the deck for absolutely no value.
Yep.
6 damage. Or 12 damage.
12 damage,
2 of
yeah.
them.
Yeah, Ira, if you look at the Ira decks, it's like, okay, they're running like 30 reds, 35 blues or something like that, and then a bunch of equipment, and a couple yellows here and there. I mean, Ira has to block quite a bit, and she's gonna be it's not just her blues that are hitting the combat chain on defense. She's gonna be blocking with probably half her reds. So if you could get like a couple of the reds banished from any of the stealth cards, not stealth cards, the new attack actions. Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, double Transcend. Very good CNC bait Transcend cards. Now, gonna finish resolving this. 7 damage. Big chunk of News Life. And here we go. 5 card hand with Tunic up. Looking for a scrap, just a nick. Codex. I think we're going to see the looking for scrap start the turn off. 5 go again.
Quite a different pace from the last game, to say the least.
Yep.
Really, Ira's just trying to grind this one out, stay low to the ground with the Gadachis, and provide the disruption when they possibly can. But when Nuke gets to play out the 5 go again from looking for a scrap and things like that, it can really it can make that a lot more difficult than it sounds.
I'm generally a fan of blocking, looking for scrap, and E-Strike and a lot of other cards in new. Especially if they have a 5 card hand. Because there's basically no world where I'm getting out of this turn with my whole hand. Especially when they have 2 hands or 2 cheat cards in hand. So I kind of just prefer blocking in these situations. And here we go, just a nick on the Desires of Flesh, I believe. And another Mauling Key hits the and a Bittering Thorns. Oh boy, that like you said, that's quite a few reds leaving the deck. Alex gonna have to maybe think a little bit, because that's a lot of threat density gone. I don't know if he used his tunic either, or ticked up his tunic.
It seemed like Shing was in a very aggressive mood, like going into the matchup. And I'm wondering if, with a lot of these reds leaving the deck, I wonder if Shing's willing to kind of make a pivot into the mask new fatigue strategy. I'm not sure if his deck is built to do that. Typically, that goes best with CYB. I don't think he's on CYB. But I'm interested if there's like becomes a point where enough reds come off the top that he would be willing to move into that.
Yep. The general pace of play from both these players has been pretty good. In general, Hong Kong players do play pretty quickly. The reason being is the subway does close and armories start at 8 p.m. So,
8 p.m.
All right. More disruption. This is the third turn of back-to-back disruption. It was CNC, then it was CNC, now it's weakest link. And I think there are some weak links in his hand. I see a grain that tips the scale. Cosmic Awakening as well. Levels of Enlightenment. And a mystery card. Now, I know that Zen and Enigma both use Cosmic Awakening, and Zen sometimes uses that as his last hurrah. How important is this Cosmic Awakening for a new?
In a match like this, it's probably actually pretty important. I don't think Kodachi's let the game go long enough to where it's like I think it's one of those things where it's nice if you can hang on to it. Like it's probably like one of the last blues you block within your hand. But I don't think it's game ending to block with it. But it definitely probably helps depending on the pitch stack. Obviously, New doesn't shuffle her deck. So if it does present the opportunity to where you can pitch stack one,
I mean, Shing decided to take damage and basically just lose the grain.
Yeah, he decided to just play it out.
Yeah, before so he doesn't get a card draw. Yep. And looks like he wants to keep the levels and, well, at least the Cosmic in the deck. I think he's going to play the levels.
And that's actually the second chi card that he's played and like not transcended. So the more he does that, the less viable the mask new strategy is. And the more he just has to keep the more aggressive game plan, which I think is correct.
Shing's like, that CNC plays look pretty fun. Let me try that out. And Ira gonna have to make a little bit of a decision. Generally, her deck does have a good amount of 3 blocks. Now, the issue is that if like the 3 blocks are blue and you have D-Rex, well then your whole turn kind of sucks. So
right.
The fact that Ira hasn't immediately blocked
Yeah, with Frailty, I can't imagine that Ira's actively trying to make a move.
Yeah. So he might be considering blocking with the Mask of Momentum if things get really desperate. we did not really get a look at Alex Lowe's hand, so not sure. Frailty tokens extremely strong against ninjas, against dual wield decks. Any deck that wants to attack with 2 weapons a turn. Lots and lots of value.
And Codex of Frailty is just good against every deck.
Yep. Codex into CNC is very, 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 very strong, especially if you've blocked at the beginning of the combat chain and you're not Dorinthia or Kano.
I mean, there's just so many options in the new deck, right? Like,
Yep.
oh, they don't have an arsenal and I got extra resources. Surgical, right? Low on resources, leave no witness. I mean, there's just so many.
Got Tunic and I want to push damage and I sideboarded in Death Touch.
Mm-hmm.
Tunic Death Touch. That is a card I believe Shing does run one of. All right, let's see what this turn is. Ah, okay. This makes some sense. He had Erase Face with Pummel lined up. But now it is Block, Tunic, Erase Face. This Ira's running Red Pummel, Nathan.
Surprisingly, the Ira that I played in top 8 at the Battle Hardened also ran Pummel. I didn't know that that was a thing. Luckily, I never saw one on the bad end, but yeah, I had no idea the Iras were doing that. But it kind of makes sense. You're a Tunic deck. You're running a bunch of 2-for-6s. I mean, it actually makes a lot of sense.
Yep. All right, so Shing has been erased faced. I don't think that is particularly relevant, especially if his turn is just mostly attack actions. Oh, gonna give up the Tunic. All right. Maybe an indication that Alex wants to speed the game up a little bit. Art of Desire Mind into a Transcend. Gonna preserve something. Or is that the banish?
The Tunic there. I mean,
Yeah.
at 25, I think that might be a little early, but we'll see.
Yeah. And the Sink Blow is going to block this. I guess respecting the Tunic into attack react from Arsenal that could be coming.
He still has to banish a card from hand because Mask hasn't resolved yet.
Yep.
But he does get to filter his hand before he does it, which is pretty valuable.
Yep. I think in terms of gas, both players may be about the same. We have seen some good banishes from Shing. I mean, this Ira's running Pummel and Scar for Scar, Nathan. This looks aggressive to me.
Oh, Ira definitely has to carry those tools to stand a chance against Enigma. That's kind of what they're there for. But against certain decks like New, where you can't just sit back and take all the hits, you have to side those in as well. But Ira in general, I think it's a great example of what a defensive deck should be in Flesh and Blood. It's not just degen fatigue. You know, there's a lot of interaction. The concept of the Kodachis kind of prevents that fatigue state from ever really happening, because if you give her too much room, she'll just chip you down. But you still have to overcome that, problem of they're going to block, 6 to 8 every turn and present a little bit of damage. You have to solve that mid-range puzzle. And so I really like them bringing Ira into
Ooh, a
the
poison the well.
CC. I mean,
So this
some
is top
see
8.
why.
This is top 8. It should be open deck list. I guess the poison in the well is just there because he knows that Shing is on sigils. Huh.
It should be an open deck list, but the Atlanta Battle Hardened was not.
Interesting. Okay.
They made us go in blind, so I don't know if there was a change or what.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Siren's Call going to get a card. This still does not have Go Again, though. So, are we going to see a Boots pop? Or are we going to... I don't even know. Is that another Siren's Call? What is the play here? Maybe an attack react that gives Go Again? Shing has perfect information right now. That was the quickest graveyard check I've seen in a long time. Okay, look. Okay, looks like it's gonna pass the turn. Okay, interesting. Okay. And I think Alex is actually surprised at what just happened. Leave no witnesses in the Siren's Call. Pass.
I mean, there is a possibility where.
And did Shing use his
Shing
tunic
was
for that?
relying. There is a world where maybe Shing was relying on that card draw and it didn't happen, right?
Right.
Because there was no blue. Right, there wasn't a blue on the Siren's Call.
This is all starting to blend together.
Yeah.
No, there definitely was. That's a crane dance right there. Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, that is a little odd that he just up
And
passed.
his tunic's at 0, so you use tunic to play the Siren's Call. Huh.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Okay. I'm a little worried now for Shing. Like this life total is not the life total is not close enough to execute either game plan comfortably right now.
Oh,
but CNC,
this is a scary play.
This is the worst situation to be in. Yep.
You know that stiletto is
or
about
the rousing
to be used
wave is going to be used.
Because, well, you know, look at what he blocked with. Leave no witness. How good would it be? Or that? Jeez.
Okay. Huh. Gonna leave Ira with a sink blow in hand. He didn't want to push it with the arousing wave. Interesting.
I mean, he couldn't because he put the extra block on the chain, right?
Oh, yep. You're right. Poison the well, Arsenal sink below. Interesting. Okay. All right, new. You got a 5-card hand. You got a 9 life deficit. Can you make it up? Now, a good card to have here would be looking for scrap. Let's see if he has one.
Or E-strike, either one.
Some extender.
Or a bond, something that requires a lot of cards.
Yeah, he has just a Nick, I think, in hand. So a Codex is not the easiest to execute. You might just start with a weapon attack and kind of go from there. We saw that every single time the Mistblade entered the combat chain, one of the armor pieces got involved. And, I thought Alex was going to reach for the Mask of Momentum there.
Nothing scarier than them pitching bonds for dagger on a full hand.
Yeah, that's a lot of information there. But none of the conclusions that you reach are good.
It's either a really, really good hand or a really bricked hand. Yep. And there's no in between.
Yep. Flick Flack. on the Beckoning Mistblade, going to provide +2 defense to the next defending combo card. And I think if we see Scale Peeler enter the combat chain, Alex is going to know this hand sucks. Aha! That could be a reason. You already you have 2 of them. And that quick block kind of suggests double D-React or a Stag. That was a very quick block. All right, Hiss. Into Slither. That's 2 attack reacts. Pitching Surgical. To activate a Rousing Wave. That is 3 attack reactions now. So Bonds is base 4. Hiss is 3 is 7. 7 go again right now. So now he's at 9. And I don't think Shing can push over, but he does have go again. Sink below resolving. Looks like Alex is going to put that card to the bottom. All right, with the go again, what is going to be the play?
Well, I think I said Codex, so I think it's going to be Codex CNC.
Yep. And with 2 cards in hand, going to lose 1. Which means
that means
this,
the arsenal is gone.
Yep, so doesn't really matter what you pick. You're just throwing this to the slaughter again. Yep. Gonna have to discard to that. Ira takes the full 6. And with the Frailty token, just decides to set up and pass the turn back to New. So back-to-back turns with 5-card hands. New has closed the life gap a little bit. But he's got a That's All You Got in hand. Not the greatest offensive card. Gonna start with a Mistblade. And Alex has been very disciplined about blocking these Mistblades. I think that's just a good heuristic, right, Nathan? If they have 5 cards, generally block the Mistblade.
It just reduces the options. I mean, if they have access to 2 blues, then you just reduce the amount of problems that you're going to have. And a lot of people are like, oh, but you're blocking something for 1. Well, you're actually blocking it for 2 because it was going to give something +1.
Yep.
So it's actually not a huge waste.
We may see people learn more about that heuristic in the next set, because it's very possible that the Draconic Daggers from Syndra and Fang kind of operate in the same, maybe not direct manner as Mistblade, but there could be some implied value for letting things hit, like with was it Knives Out or Bleed Out, or I forgot which one. Bleed Out, I believe. So all right, gonna block with Tort of Tempo, just a Dick on the Art of Desire. Gonna push a big chunk of damage. Whelming Gust Wave gets banished. Gonna gain a life. Back heel kick. Gonna get banished. Gonna gain a life. Now, I think that's a D-react to Shing's hand. Kadachi for 1, Kadachi for 2. Taking 2 down to 13. Spinning wheel kick. This is the third one. Interesting. You see that at the side, Nathan? That is a round timer.
Mm-hmm.
That is good. That is good. Maybe they're... I mean, the venue might close at a certain time, so they do have to... FID, as they say in Cantonese.
Probably just using that to keep a reasonable pace of play.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. And there definitely has been a reasonable pace of play in all the matches that we've seen today. So,
oh, Shing's been flying. I mean, he's...
I mean, this is probably, if I had to guess, maybe his 500th game. So, you know, he can see the Matrix, Nathan.
That's it.
Alex getting a count of probably the attack reacts that have been played. Siren's Call check, Just a Nick check, Fang Strike, etc. All right, back over to Shing. He's got a couple cards to play with. Going to start off with Mistblade, and now there are no more equipment blocks left for our Ira player. How much do you respect this? Looks like no respect is given. Following up with Bonds of Agony. Coming in for 2. With 1 floating and the tunic. This is extremely easy to get to 3 attack reacts. Oh, he has 2 cards. Even easier. We have not seen a snag from our Ira player. I don't even think we've seen a pitch. All right, there's a hiss. Stilettos in the arm slot. Going to be met with a sink below.
These bonds are just too good.
Yeah. That one didn't hit, though, but still pretty good. We are almost in Kadachi lock range. Is that a sensor? It looks like that's a sensor. You can name a card, and they cannot play it if this hits. They can still pitch it. They can still arsenal it. They don't even have to reveal their hand, but...
this is huge. If the Ira player can just work that life total down just a little bit more and get that Kadachi lock going, when you start taking cards out of New's hands, I mean, the game becomes infinitely easier because there's less guessing and, quite frankly, just a lot less, disruption. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, 9-point life lead is significant. So normally, like the brother to Ira is, I guess, Zen. Zen traditionally has, had a little bit of issues with New, but Ira a little bit more stable, a little bit more disruptive, a lot more defensive, can handle the situation, and Shing gives up his tunic, sinks a card, and this turn is going to be probably the most important turn of the game. Going to pitch a Levels of Enlightenment, swing the Mistblade. So, Alex has the information that Shing sank a card. Other than that, well, pitching the levels is actually also a lot of information because that's one of the cards you want to follow up the Mistblade with, which is interesting. Gonna take the 1. 13. Bonds of Agony, number 3. This time the Japanese version. Gonna Azuri swap for the English version. Now, without the equipment, Nathan, is this hard to get to 3 attack reactions?
Oh, this is prognosis. This is not bonds.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, prognosis. Yep. My
bad. Which is actually good because one way to get out of the Kodachi lock situation is to gain just a little bit of life.
Yeah.
And this is a great way to do it, assuming that it can actually connect. Although if they block with anything that's not a D react, it's a life gained.
Yep. Persuasive Prognosis, one of the Majestics in the Mystic Assassin class. Or sorry, the Assassin class. Very, very strong card. Alex, I think, needs to make a soul read here. He has some information. He knows the status of the graveyard. He knows the status of some of the cards pitched. And it is Hiss. Alex decides to take 2. That's all you got. Banished, revealing not a yellow in hand. So,
that's a great hit.
That is so lucky.
Ira.
Yep. Ira does not run very many yellows, so that is really nice. All right. What now? Did he make a slither? Is that the card in his hand?
No, he just he skipped it. Basically said go again.
Right.
That's
because he had a 4-card hand at the beginning of this turn. So
yeah, and he should not have one floating either.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Back to Ira. Out of all the games you cast today, Nathan, I think Alex Lowe is the one that respects the zones the most.
Oh, easy.
Yeah. All right. I don't think there's any world where... Oh. That is an odd block. Wouldn't you get more value from this Kodachi? Second Kodachi?
I think the idea is he needed to filter
immediately
to determine whether he needed to continue blocking.
Right. So that getting information early is worth 1 point of value.
And then there's also the fact that there could be a CNC to follow, depending on how many of those are in the grave.
No Tunic right now. But yeah, that could have been Kodachi into CNC.
Oh.
But here it's Kodachi, E-Strike for 7. Saying card and mask or 2 cards, please.
It basically has to be a card and mask, right? Because if you just give up if you go down to a 2-card hand, there's no new 2-card hand without Tunic that's gonna threaten Ira on 11.
Yep. And this is like the culmination of many small decisions that have kind of led us to this point where Ira is now in the checkmating sequence of this game.
It's looking a little bleak for Shing right now.
Yeah, that E-Strike is 1,000 Kodachis of value here. Two cards, going to leak 1 damage down to 3. And like you said, Nathan, there's no 2-card hand that operates in a proper position. Bonds of Attraction, gonna try to gain a little bit of life.
And see, there's only two possibilities here. You either have a
Mask
chi
or yep,
or for mask, or you have
just a Nick.
just a Nick.
But I think he played 3 of them already. And gonna block, gonna banish that. Gonna Arsenal, and Shing drew a chi card. And this Ira has 3 cards. So I think this turn we're gonna see the Mask of Recurring Nightmares hit the graveyard. "12 minutes left in the round. Although this is the semifinals, they are still trying to be time efficient. Gonna break the boots. Oh, look at that. Crouching Tiger into Mulling Key.
With mask on the table, I mean, there's like, I'm almost certain that like Shing had no intention of going to 1 on this.
Mm-hmm.
So he was either going to give 2 cards or a card and mask anyway. But then again, if you're just splitting the Tiger up to go 1-1-1, then to just get more cards, you've probably already won the game. So this might actually just force that play, which seems good to me.
I don't think he can go 1-1-1 because that's a sensor in the pitch zone, and that doesn't turn the Kodachis on.
No, I just meant on a future turn. On a future turn
yes,
where he could go 1-1-1.
Mm-hmm. Tough position. Cosmic Awakening. Mask. Blocking 5 of the 7 damage. And this is the last hurrah here. Shing with a 4-card hand, but if you leave... Oh, that's heartbreaking. Oh, I was going to say, if you leave Ira with a single card, and now Ira is definitely going to have a single card. That all you got, asks Alex Lowe.
Oh, no.
Double chi, and the game is all but over right now. Ira has weathered the storm just long enough. 1 floating right now. Levels with 2 modes active. Looks like the modes are Go Again Power, because I didn't see him draw. Which means there is something that costs 0 or 1 coming at the end of this. Could be Leave No Witnesses. It could be Leave No Witnesses in a roundabout manner. Codex of Frailty. Technically has 1 floating. Could grab a 1 cost, but I don't think he has one. Leave No Witnesses. Going to be met with Fate Foreseen and... Oh boy. Alex is going to have 3 cards to play with next turn. And there's no world, unless Shing draws a sigil the next 3 turns in a row or something, that he's going to get out of this Kodachi luck. Alex going to leave that card on the top. Shing asking for a deck count, or maybe Alex just doing it. Not a lot of cards left, but should be sufficient. Shing gets to ponder something into Arsenal. And here we go. If we see a block. Oh, right. the frailty token was there. I was like, huh? And there we go. The E-Strike. Gonna finish it off. Classic Ira fashion. Kadachi E-Strike. I told you Control Fi was viable, Nathan.
That's it.
Yep.
That's what we've been waiting for.
Yep. So Control Fi, aka Ira, piloted by Alex Lowe, now going to be in the grand finals of the 2025 Hong Kong Battle Hardened. Pretty good game. New was in the lead there for a bit, but a little bit of a clunky hands in the middle of the game. Excellent resilience by Ira. Didn't even need snag that game. Just, applied enough pressure. Had D-Reacts. Respected Mistblade. Well played from Alex. Not easy to take down Shing. So, a worthy competitor in our grand finals. Any thoughts on the game, Nathan?
Yeah, like I said, the chances of going to true fatigue was very low just because those Kodachis really just grind the life totals down. Unfortunately, the D-Reacts were just too much for New to overcome. Just imagine if Ira had snags to make it even worse. I think that's just a rough matchup for New in general, unless they have CYB, and that allows them to kind of create more of a runway to create a more favorable position.
Mm-hmm. And the CYB basically allows the new player to play out every power card in their deck. That's kind of the benefit of CYB, is that you have the runway to play all your cards out. Now, it does restrict a little bit about how you can play your hands, but yeah. Well, that's neither here nor there. All right. It's grand finals time. Let's go. All right. Welcome back to the grand finals of the 2025 Hong Kong Battle Hardened. In the left side of your screen is the one, the only Pudding Tam. Again, just like Shing, has top forward multiple tier 4 events. One of the strongest players in the region. And as you can see by his sleeves, a member of Team Blue Pitch. Now, one of the things I like about Team Blue Pitch's sleeves is that, they have the designs of all the players on the team as their equipment. That looks really cool. Over on the other side, we have Alex Lowe piloting Ira. Now, Shing and Pudding are teammates on Blue Pitch, so no doubt Pudding, not only does he want to win the Battle Hardened, but I think he wants to get a little bit of revenge for his buddy Shing. So, excellent players in the grand finals, an excellent storyline. Two heroes that I don't. We have personally not. We've casted one of these games. Mm-hmm. We casted Alan, overcoming Manho in the quarterfinals. Let's see. Now, it's very possible that Pudding and Alan actually are on the same list. So let's see if Pudding can recreate what Alan did in the quarterfinals. And here we go. Kodachi for 1, Kodachi for 2. Of note, I'm sure Pudding greatly disapproves of the position of the Kodachis right now. And the hero. In a Q&A with Team Blue Pitch, I think somebody asked Pudding, what is the correct way to place your Kodachis? And he said, Kodachi, Kodachi, hero. And this guy is the Ninja Grandmaster. So his word is law. Weakest link, potentially annoying. However, this is turn 0. Gonna block with multiple cards. Ira getting a little bit of information, seeing that Aurora has Sync below in the list.
It's actually an interesting card to run into this matchup because it's kind of on you to keep on the gas. So running, the sink and fates can be a little dangerous, although there is a lot of disruption, right? Like, weakest link and erase face if they are on those. But taking 1 damage from a Gadachi on turn 0 feels way better when you can draw a scar for a scar.
Yep. And I think it's just good math to always take the first Kodachi, because if you block the first Kodachi, block the second Kodachi, and then they come in with 2 more attacks, you take a ton of damage. So also, if you have a no block in hand, there's no world where you're blocking the first Kodachi. All right, this is a pretty good turn. Scar into Entwine Lightning into Gone in a Flash. 3 card 12.
Take those,
That's just good value, Nathan. All right. Kodachi for 1. This lightning form playmat is pretty sick. I like it.
Me too.
All right, CNC. I presume we're going to see a crown block. And there we go. Crown of Providence. Sense. Proving its $100 worth. And taking 5. All right, 5 card Aurora about to crack back. Can he use all the cards in his hand? He has a reduced of Rune Chant. That stuff's just going to go into the arsenal. And I think we have a pair of I think we have a CLV plus an Arc Lightning, so...
Wait, a reduced to Rune Chant?
Sorry, is that a Sigil Suffering? Sorry. Isn't that a D-React? Yeah.
Reduce is the one that costs 1 and it's reduced by...
Yeah, sorry.
I was like, that would be wild.
Why does... Dude, I just realized Rune Blades have 2 class D-Reacts. Not fair.
Of course.
You're LSS's favorite.
It's 100% fair.
All right, there we go. Ravenous Rabble. Gonna be bounced back to hand. Gonna get the damage in from the Rabble. And another one. Gonna reveal the same card, of course. No hocus pocus magic here. Look at you know how I know they're Runeblade's favorite. They printed a Rabble that's like purple themed just for Runeblades.
I mean, we're the ones that play it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hey, Dromai has something to say about that. I bet Fang and Syndra also going to be fond of it as well.
Probably.
All right. This Rabble gonna see a block. And pretty good turn. Putting it to Arsenal of D-React. I think Alex knows that that's almost certainly D-React. Because if that was an attack, would have definitely saw that at the end of the chain, I think. All right. Get a pitch and Kodachi. Why does he have only 1 floating? Is that a yellow? Nope, just shortcutting. Okay. All right. Without the Crown of Providence, now a little bit more susceptible to some disruption, especially with the D-React in Arsenal. So Pudding going to have to think very, very carefully whether or not to block this. If he doesn't block this, that means Mask will be on for this 3rd attack. Tunic into... Yep. That's always a bad feeling when your opponent grabs their Tunic counter. And I think we're going to see the Grass plus probably 2 cards. 2 cards of Grass.
I think you just let it go.
Or you just let it go? Give them the 9 value.
If the hand's good. If the hand's good or you have a Lightning Surge, you need Arsenal, I think you just let it go.
Mm-hmm. And Pudding agrees with you, says 24. Goodbye. What? That's not.
Or
Huh?
you definitely let it go by just
Oh, man.
playing it.
Oh,
That's
no.
so
I'm a
good.
silly goose. I thought that was a D react. Oops.
I thought you said it was a sigil.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't know. I'm seeing things. This is like the.
Oh,
It's like
that's
the
the
sixth game.
perfect play.
I'm sorry. Hocus pocus magic indeed. All right, here we go. Electrostatic discharge and twine lightning showing burn up
Ooh.
shock. Pretty good. That is pretty good, especially with your opponent without a tunic counter.
Already coming in hot for 7.
Yeah.
Go again. You have at least, well, you have tunic counter, so it's tunic counter.
Starfall.
Although probably gonna pitch the burn up shock to keep the CLV around. Because you do need to get that lightning card into the pitch zone. But very curious of what the last card is.
Yep.
Because if it's another attack, that's rough. 7, 2, and 4 is that's tough to stop.
Not easy. I mean, the Iris still has access to all the armor, so there's that. But this is Breakpoint City right now.
Also, one thing that a lot of people underestimate is I notice a lot of players when they're confronted with the situation, if they think they can't stop the CLV, they'll just let it hit on the first attack. But there's actually a lot of hidden value in when you let the opponent, the Aurora player, draw.
Yes.
The earlier they draw, the better the draw, because then they get to structure things in a certain way to actually extract the max value. Whereas if they draw at the very end, it could just be a total brick.
Also, if they have hand extenders like E-Strike, like giving them an early draw also gives them more options and all that. And looking for scrap, gonna block the Starfall. And I presume the burn up shock is gonna go into the arsenal. Oh, sorry.
Burn up shock's already in the pitch.
There's Shock Striker.
But that's a great card to end with.
That is really good. But Flick Flat gonna say no thank you. I do not want to take some damage. All right, gonna channel some lightning into that CLV arsenal, a card, and pass it over to Ira. Ira gonna just throw Mauling Key pitching toward her tempo. Not where you want to be. I don't think there's any world where Pudding blocks.
That's the theme. That's the theme that we saw with the last one was, you know, there was too many turns where they weren't throwing disruption, and two card 5s against Aurora is just, it's nowhere close to enough. And
the iPad saying it's getting low on batteries, so we got to hurry this up before we lose our life totals.
But if this was like a CNC or even a weakest link, I mean, it's just a completely
he's got a scar for scar in
different
hand.
situation.
First world problems being higher than your opponent. It's gonna block, and that's some information. All right, so how's Pudding gonna utilize this hand? Looks like he's gonna start off with Snatch, hope to draw into an extender card. Gonna see the Snapdragons. Now the question is, do we see like a lightning press or something?
If the Ira player only has one D react, it kind of forces that situation where you have to block face value to bait the lightning press. But you know, it could be that situation where you jam the 4 armor.
I think so
to do the bait instead of trying to cover. Unless you have 2 D reacts. If you have 2 D reacts, it's very easy. You just use one and try to bait it out.
All right, Head Judge Oscar has rescued the iPad's battery. Plugging in something. Yeah, I think the game is going too fast for the armor to really matter. Like the Shuko value and the mask value. I think just cashing them in for expensive iron rots that block for
I mean,
extra. Totally
Ira's
fine
at
here.
19 with no tempo. I don't
Yeah.
think there's going to be. If you draw a 1 card 5 combination, I don't think that's actively what you want to be doing. I think you're just waiting for the 2 card 6s that are disruptive to actually
Yeah,
create
I
one
don't
runway.
yeah, I don't think Alex is going to get back in this game with like 1-1-5
Right.
or 1-1 tunic into something would be decent, but yeah, he's got to rely on those 1 into 7s to get it back into this game. Also going to need to extend the game a little bit just because there's a possibility Aurora draws a bricky hand. This is one of those bricky hands. We know he has a Scar for Scar in hand. Notice how putting very calm and collected, he's in his Zen state. He just puts his card down. He's not flicking them. He's not looking at them. He's not shuffling them. He's just like, yeah, I got 3 cards in hand. No blocks. I'll pick them back up. Okay,
It's actually a very good idea to do that. I played a game against Michael Hamilton at I think it was at Worlds, and I got a read on him on I had like a tail and on like whether he had pummel or not because of how he looked at his cards and how quickly he did.
Yeah.
And later in the match, he stopped looking at like he would draw off E-strike and he wouldn't look at it because it was giving me too much information.
That's pretty crazy. All right, Lightning Press. Going to give 2 cards to Pudding, and this is a minor disaster right now. Not having the D-React on this turn gonna cost a lot of value. And he drew the blue. Or maybe he had
so
that,
bad in so many ways because he can pitch another card to make a rune chant to keep the CLV. He has the guaranteed go again on this weapon as well. So this is another 4 into 2 into at least another 4, and it. That on hit was catastrophic. But if you don't have the D-React, I mean, I agree. I don't think
do anything
you can,
about it.
Yeah, I don't think you can't win the game blocking 7 on snatches.
Yeah, especially when they still have Snapdragons up. That's actually the key point there.
Right.
All right. Do we have Scar for Scar, or are we going? Yep, Scar for Scar. When you play a card with the opponent's hero's picture in it, that's just insulting, right? That's disrespectful.
The disrespect.
The disrespect. When the new played my glint, I almost, I was like, you can't do that. All right, back to Ira, who just gives it back to Aurora. Okay, that was the channel. Okay, yep. And this needs to be disruption in Arsenal right now.
It is not.
It is not. At worst, it is censor at the end.
And that, I don't think you could guess something good enough to.
Oh, okay. He had an extra card. Okay, he had more extra cards in hand. Okay. Now, he really wished his tunic was going to be on 3, because then he could have blocked 3 extra. I actually think he should have blocked 3 extra, and he had pummel. Okay. Okay.
Yes. Okay, we have a game.
Okay. I was like, why don't you just block with one of your blues and then Karachi CNC? But okay. Okay.
Now, Pudding had to know this was
a possibility because
there's no way that he takes all that damage just to throw 1 extra Kadachi. So,
but you can't play around it. Does he have another instant speed thing to play from Arsenal? That would be the best.
Doesn't seem like it, or he would have already done it. But
looks like Shockwave and Rabble. Goodbye. All right.
Now that's scary, getting rid of a Rabble.
Yeah.
How good is your hand if you're discarding a Ravenous Rabble in Aurora?
Yeah, that's...
Okay, so we have a Lightning instant.
Yep.
This should be respected in case it's CLV unless we know where they are.
Yep. This should be I was going to say this should be a Mask of Momentum block. Ugh. Okay. Okay,
Oh,
Rabble. Okay,
another
well,
one.
there's the
Oh,
CLV.
there's the CLV.
Okay, lots of information there.
That'll
All
be
right, that
very useful for next turn.
yeah, that does mean this Rabble's only coming in for 3. But
6.
oh, yep, electrostatic discharge. I forgot 6. Yep, 6 when they're at 5 is pretty good. All right, big decision for Alex. Not blocking immediately here means there is a little bit of a hand texture to consider. This is going to be a lot of information for Pudding. Whether he blocks 1 card, 2 card, and he blocks with single card, second strike. Going to come in for 4. Alex could give all his armor or give a Scar for Scar and a Mask of Momentum. Looks like he decides to go with that. Tunic to 3. And Kadachi going to try to close this life lead a little bit.
Need
But
a
again,
tunic counter,
we
2
need
for
it-
6,
we
right
need it.
here.
Yeah, and a sensor.
Okay.
Now, I think Pudding may just throw the armor plus a 3 block. That is a world. The thing is, unless you have like a double in hand, it's not that bad because you could just arsenal it.
It is at this life total, right? Because they Pudding would be at 3.
Mm-hmm. And here we go. Alex, name a card, any card.
I think it has to be just a go again attack, is what I
I mean,
would
he
name.
knows he has CLV in hand. So it's like, do you name
Yeah.
CLV?
You're
guaranteed to hit it.
Easy card to pitch though.
He can
And
play
you
it in
know it's
response is
there,
the thing.
so-
Oh, that's interesting. Can he?
Right. He can play it in response. No,
No, he
cannot.
He cannot.
Yeah,
He cannot.
because once it resolves,
yes, correct. There's no priority window there.
Yep.
So I think based on the body language, Pudding has let this resolve. And this kind of mind games is like, okay, is he just going to pitch the CLV now for his turn?
And the thought process was Pudding didn't block, so obviously calling CLV is not that impactful.
Yeah, Arc Lightning.
That would be another good call out because it
because there
gives
could be
anything go again.
Yep. And taking the Tunic to block there, I think he's going to have to pitch a card for AB this turn. Electrostatic Discharge, Arcanic Shockwave, Fusing.
Does have go again, so it will send an arcane, 2 arcane, because it has go again, and so it's 7 and 2 arcane total. So we're definitely pitching a card, and we're giving Tunic and 2/3 blocks unless we have a D-react, which leaves us with 1 card in hand. But the problem is that Starfall gets the last card.
Yep. He could actually do it in a different way as well. He could just grasp. If he drops to 1, he could grasp, get the last card from hand, and have a rune chant for next turn.
Could.
Yeah. So this is...
Although Starfall is 1 arcane and 2.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Because you get the go again.
But I think he's going to have to pitch 3 anyways, because there's... The Arcanic Shockwave is sending Arcane right now. The Arc Lightning is going to send Arcane when the Arcanic Shockwave gains go again.
I think it's more about just getting the last card because you don't want to leave Ira with a card.
I think even if Ira had a card, you still have well, the Tunic could block the first Kadachi and then you'd go down to 1. Because the Grasp currently does not have any block value. This is a close game. But I think Pudding has eked out ever so more value. And there we go. AB blocking 7. So now, what do we do with the CLV? Do we make a rune chat? Do we swing Starfall? Or do we arsenal it? And it looks like even the battery pack, Nathan, has run out of battery. This game needs to wrap up very soon, or that iPad is going to die. Big decision. Gonna come in with Starfall 2+1. And that's every card gone from Ira. Pudding needs to draw a good hand. With breakpoints. With Go Again. And here we go. The classic of classics. What do you do when your hand is bad? You fix it with E-Strike.
That's it.
E-Strike, Go Again. Demanding 2 cards. This is going to demand another 2 cards unless he has a D-React.
Just 1 card, right?
Isn't this coming in for 4? Oh no,
Yeah.
this comes. Well, if he doesn't, oh yeah, he won't take 1 because there hasn't been a lightning card.
Yeah, no lightning.
Yeah.
No lightning.
Yep.
Flow.
Okay. Yep.
So it does leave with a card, but once again, it only takes 1 card from Pudding on the following turn.
So I think we know that that's not a yellow or a blue in hand, or else he would have grasped. Because you're coming in with a breakpoint, you definitely wanted to send a like a breakpoint at 2. You would definitely want to send an arcane plus the breakpoint.
Right.
So some information for Alex Lowe. But still a very, very good spot for Pudding. I don't think there's... Well, Pudding is guaranteed to have a 5-card hand on the next turn if he wants.
Mm-hmm.
There's the block. And Alex going to try... Well, he's going to Kadachi, but Pudding does not have to give him a card if he doesn't want to. And if he gives him a card, that's not good for Alex because he's still going to be at 3. If Pudding does not give him a card, that means Pudding has found a line that wins the game, which is the worst thing.
Right.
Takes 2. Sick blows. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Some life.
Sinking's a good sign.
Sinking is a good sign.
I see 2 attacks that don't have Go Again.
Yep. Oh, I think that was another
third one.
Uh-oh. Those $25 Majestics not looking good now.
Although he
3 of them.
He could pitch 2 reds to make a rune chant, send a 4, and if they don't have a D-React, that's 3 cards.
Yep.
So,
ooh, God
like
on Flash. Gonna make a rune chant. And... Scar for Scar.
Okay, doing exactly that.
Yep.
Okay, which means same thing happens.
Yep.
But if there's a D-React, then this
could get very bad.
Yeah. Then Ira has 2 cards, and if it's a...
Also, if there's a Sigil of Solace, that also kind of deals with the breakpoints. Like a Sigil plus a 3 block also works in this situation. In fact, that works better than anything. Pudding has played many, many, many Sigil of Solaces in his day. And that's a block. AB with Torrent of Tempo, so that means probably just Kadachi. So this Kadachi is going to get a card from Pudding, guaranteed. Okay, Sigil Suffering and Shock. Gonna take...
Wow,
there we go. Oh, GG. My goodness. What a finish to that game. No way to play around that. He had only 1 resource there. the sigil, and the burn up shock. Gonna finish it off just like Kano does on the opponent's turn. And just like that, putting Tam in a flash is your 2025 Hong Kong Battle Hardened champion. Team Blue Pitch and Pudding take another victory in one of the toughest regions in the world. Well played to Pudding. That was an excellently piloted game from both players. I think that was a very, very exciting grand finals. Nathan, we all often have good grand finals when we. I think we're I think we're 4 for 5. I think we're 4 for 5 at the moment. So
Oh, for sure.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Any closing thoughts on that game, Nathan?
I mean, Pudding did an amazing job just managing the risk of the deck, making sure to set up when he possibly could.
Yep.
And then the Ira player, I mean, with the pummels was phenomenal. I think once again, they got to the 2 for 6s a little late. They got some CNCs out, but I didn't see any weakest links, or when we saw them, they had to be blocked with. So I think that's really what it comes down to, is Ira really needs to see those in the first half of the deck.
Yep.
To really apply the pressure to get to the point to where the Kodachi start getting cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Both Azuri and Ira definitely want another CNC-like effect. We might be getting that in the Hunted. You never know. So, yeah. Gonna be on the lookout for that. But, yeah. Well, that was a pretty good event, Nathan. And, yeah. We're sorry that we couldn't cast this live. We were in Atlanta. They just normally we're able to do this live, but things didn't quite line up. But that's all right. All right, so this wraps up the Battle Hardened portion of the weekend in Hong Kong. There's also a PTI event that we are going to be casting and bringing to you guys. That should be out in the next day or two when you're watching this. So. If you want to get more classic constructed games from the Hong Kong region, keep an eye out on the YouTube channel here. So yeah. Well, this has been Josh Lau and Nathan Crawford with TheCardGuyz. Thank you for watching, and big shout out to the people in Hong Kong, Mock Saga and Ken. They are the host and the person who helped us do the recordings over there. Thank you so much for doing that. And giving us the opportunity to bring you guys some great flesh and blood from across the ocean. All right. See ya, guys. Take care.
Take care.
Hey, man, did you get the KO deck for Worlds? No one's doing that, okay?
You're playing a little horse now. Don't kill him. Get greedy. Put him in the middle for now. That's perfect. All right, next year. RTN champion. We're gonna have to order a couple more.